Good evening, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Gacha Episode 8. The last time we saw Horato, he was falling to his doom, air quotes. But since he is the main character, there's no way in hell that he's going to die. And we saw him falling through this cheap not CGI, but this cheap green screen. You can tell it's fake right away, obviously, but come on, you could have done better, Toei. But I'm not here to discuss, what you need to put on your budget, whatever, since, I don't know, you're like Hasbro and Saban, you guys are too cheap, but I don't know. It's either here or there, but Hotaru, with his smart thinking skills, and I say that quite loosely, he decided to pull out 2 new cards, and he ends up transforming himself into a giant motorcycle. And again, the CGI of that transformation looks terrible. Terrible. Lousy graphics. I think the form is called Spitzel Whale, whatever, but he ends up transforming into a giant motorcycle. He ends up using his blowhole to blow away the malgam, and ends up capturing Riku and rode himself away to the same area they first met. Last time I remember from last Sunday, Hotaru met Riku at this spot at this park at the table while he was studying. So he returns to that area. And then Riku asks, hey, where is Sabo? Where is he at? Because the last time we saw Sabo is he ejected himself from the gacha driver and flew away. And Hotaru remained speechless, like, I have no idea where he went. Because you can tell by the look on his face, it's like, Sabo, what is he? So we move on after the opening credits. Weird Sister number 1, who is being played by a 9-year-old, wants Kudo to play with her. And she even throws down, hey, if you play with me, I can tell you, that your father is alive, and I can prove it to you. Of course, Kudo ain't buying it, and Weird Sister number 1 pulls, the sad little girl act. Oh, she's bullying me, that sort of thing. And remember, those two are in a public place, because remember, the last time we saw Kudo and Renge, they were ordering something from this cafe, and so they're in the public area. So she ends up crying and telling everybody, oh, she's bullying me, and you see all these extras staring at her. And of course Kudo's like, how would I get out of this? But then Weird Sister number 1 pulls her magic. She ends up controlling all these people affected in the area, and she is amazed with herself that how mortals are easily controlled. And Kudo pulls out her weapon and tells her, hey, leave these innocents out of this. It's between you guys and us chemists. So if you want to fight us. And she escapes with, okay, I will remember those words. She goes away. And then Renge just shows up, and with her order, and tells Kudo that, hey, Treasure Boy, aka Hotaru, is in trouble. And yeah, that was it on that scene. And then um yeah, so we move on back to the church. Speaking of the Weird Sisters, Weird Sister number 3 is super surprised that Weird Sisters number 2 malgam is performing well, and she even offers, "Hey, if you need any help, all you need to do is call me." But Weird Sister number 2 says, "No, no, thank you. It's none of your concern. But I do appreciate it, though." And she sticks out a chemi card. And then we move on to Riku and Hotaru. Now, this is where Riku tells the origin story on how he found Saboneedle. And he found it at the park, and they became fast friends. You could see Riku just, doing the pokey poke at a cactus, and promise, "Hey, we're best friends," and doing the whole bit. And then soon after, his father found out about the cactus and assumes that it's the source of Riku's decline in terms of grades. He's falling behind on his grades, his school, so he assumes that the reason behind it is because of the cactus. And this is where, he says you need to get rid of it. And then, speaking of which, we go back to the present. Hotaro's like, "Hey, let's search for it and let's see how it goes." And due to the help of the smartphone chemi, they found a needle that belonged to the cactus chemi, and apparently the smartphone detected 3 possible locations. However, Riku narrowed it down to 1 location, the place where Riku found Sabu in the first place, which is Erakusa Fountain Park. Now, as they are out there searching for the cactus chemi, we go back to the alchemy school, who only has 4 students. Minato Sensei gives a recap to all those, 3 students plus Spanner. The recap of what happened. There is a dragonfly malgam that is going after Hotaru and Riku. And it's just pretty much giving a recap. And this is where Spanner's like, "This is what a joke," and this is, and telling Kudo that you need to stop being on Hotaro's side. You need to wake up, that sort of thing. And then we go to the park where they found Sabo with a cracked pot, and Riku pretty much tells the truth, that he didn't want to get rid of it in the first place, and he is sorry, and you're my best friend. And then this is where Hota does this thing where, "Okay, don't worry about Sabo, leave him to me, I promise I will take care of him," and does this whole, "Okay, I promise that I will create a world where chemis and humans can coexist in peace." Hotaru, I think you need to give Ace Jesus a call. You need to give him a phone call. That's all I'm going to say about that. Because talking about new world order and wishes, this is where you kind of need Ace. You need to call Ace and tell him, "Hey, can you create a world where chemis and humans can coexist in peace?" But of course, it will defeat the purpose, right? But Ace would have had a nice cameo. So Hotaru makes this promise and tells him, hey, I'm gonna create a world where chemis and humans can coexist. Next thing you know, you have crazy Papa, and he finds them, and then at the same time, going back to the alchemy school that only has 4 students, discovers the identity of the malgam, which was Riku's papa, which I knew from the very beginning that, of course, it has to be his father. Like, who else is, want to attack Riku? But, however, later on, we discovered the reason why he is shooting at Riku. So once the students discovered who the malgam is, Sabemaru and Renge just went on and just, hey, we're gonna go to rescue Hotaru and Riku. Let's go. While Minato Sensei stays behind, and you have Spanner and Kudo. It's like, are you gonna join them? No. It goes against my virtue. It's ridiculous. I'm a upper class alchemist. It's beneath me. It's against my virtue. And then when Sensei asks Kudo if she is planning to go, and she's like, well, it's against the rules. And I get it too. Hotaru is being a child. But at the same time, I don't like what is going on in general. Like, she can't stand by while people are getting hurt. But I can't stand Kudo. I mean, Hotaru, I don't like him as a character, but Kudo is really up there because she appears to be wooden. She always gives the same angry face. And to this day, remember, Kudo was upset with Hotaru from the very earlier on, and we never got an explanation. She had one of those moods. But whatever. So Sabemaru and Renge to the rescue while the others just stay behind. And okay, speaking of the target, the reason behind it. Apparently, Riku's father was only targeting Hotaru and Sabu, not his son. Why? Because he claims that those two are a bad influence. That's why. He wasn't going after his son. He was going after Hotaru and Sabu. And then Hotaru was like, look, you're wrong. They're best friends. You're not going to separate them. And I'm not going to allow you to trash their friendship. He transforms. And they have their fight. And then Weird Sister number 2, it's like, no way, gotcha. I created this malgam. He is precious to me. He is relishing in malice. So there's no way in hell you're gonna destroy my creation. So she ends up using the chemi card she had the last time. She transforms into a malgam. She steps in. But before she can do anything else, because the only thing she has done was to tie up Gotcha's feet. And next thing you know, you have Spanner. And Spanner, you're cool, but didn't you just say a moment ago that it's against your virtue to help, Hotaru and all his childish antics? But, of course, he came in for a different reason, for a different purpose. So Spanner comes in and decides to go after Weird Sister number 2. And then you have Sabemaru, Renge, and, of course, Kudo. And Kudo gives 2 cards to Hotaru. And he transforms into a new form called the Doki Kitty Shovel. And not only that he untied himself, he does this weird dizzy attack on the dragonfly malgam that was still flying around and causes it to fall down. And the kids were like, how does that attack have to do with the dragonfly? And they were like, I don't know. I mean, as long as it works, who are we to question it, right? It's a weird attack, I know, but it's Hotaru after all. And then Hotaru was like, so now we're even, Spanner. He turns around, and Spanner and Weird Sister number 2 disappeared. So I enjoy that scene because at least Spanner didn't have to diss him again. It's just after the weird attack, Spanner just took Weird Sister number 2 elsewhere and just like, nah. And speaking of them, they have their fight elsewhere, and Spanner is demanding answers to his questions. And of course, Weird Sister number 2 doesn't oblige. So she's like, no, I'm not going to tell you squat. So you're just going to have to bear with us and find out just like the rest of the audience. And she disappeared. And he always ends with what a ridiculous joke. So he has 2 catchphrases. It goes against my virtue, and this is a ridiculous joke. So he has a new catchphrase. So Weird Sister number 2 escapes, and then we go back to Hotaru versus Riku's papa. This is where he transforms into the Needle Hawk form, does the Needle Hawk fever, captures the dragonfly chemi, and saves the day. And then Minato sensei. Here I thought that Kudo was a buzzkill. Minato sensei, like, his timing is rotten in terms of giving a lecture, because Minato sensei just steps in, gives Hotaru the riot act. Like, he states, well, because of you force a child and a chemi to be together, and because of that you destructed a family relationship, whatever. Do you understand why chemis and humans cannot coexist? It goes against the natural order. And Hotaru tried to explain himself, and mind you, Minato sensei's explanation, like, it's unfair. I mean, all that Hotaru did was to find out the truth, like, hey, are you sure you want us to take this chemi away from you? Because I'm getting this feeling that you are reluctant to do so. So I just want some answers and just give the kid peace. That's what he was trying to do, which he did. But Minato sensei doesn't see it that way. But whatever. It's just, Minato sensei, you only have 4 students. Obviously, you're doing something wrong. Where's the rest of the students? Anyways. So he's given Hotaru the riot act. But then you see Sabo just grew out a flower and gives it to Riku. And Papa apologizes for what he has done. And Riku just says to Sabo, like, hey, you're always going to be best friends forever. This is a sign of it. I'm going to give you over to Hotaru so he will take care of you, and someday we will meet again. So Riku goes and delivers Saboneedle to them. And then Minato sensei was like, okay, look, we captured the chemi, but I'm gonna take a couple of points off your grade. It's just, he takes a couple of points off his grade, you did your job, but at the same time you did what I said, you know, lecturing all that, and take away some points. And then he does his thing. He uses his ring of power to erase both Papa and Riku's memories, and he just walks away. He just walks away. He doesn't stay or nothing. He just does the thing with the ring, and he leaves without saying to the kids, "Hey, so class is over. I, there's some homework, and you need to write a book report, and it's due next week. Bye bye." He just ups and leaves. Okay, all right. So Minato Sensei ups and leaves, and then Riku invites Hotaru to the contest of, kicking the can, because if you remember, prior to this, in the last episode, Hotaru told Riku, like, hey, let's have a kick the can contest. Whoever loses, you get he buys a drink for the other. And Riku invites not just Hotaru, but the others as well, including his father. So they're doing this kick the can thing. And then back to the alchemy school, who only has 4 students. Kudo returns one of the cards back to Spanner, because one of the cards belonged to Spanner. And Hotaru makes his promise to Saboneedle, pretty much the same thing. Like, look, someday you will meet Riku again, but you have to wait a little bit longer, because we're not there yet in terms of chemis and humans coexist. So I'm making a promise to you that I will make a world where chemis and humans can coexist. You just have to wait. Again, call Ace. Calling Ace. You need to call Ace. So as he does his promise to a chemi, we go back to the church, and Weird Sister number 3 was upset that, hey, you didn't call me to help you. Why didn't you? Well, first off, Weird Sister number 2 says, like, I had it in the bag. It's because of Spanner that ruined everything. So she's upset about that. However, the day wasn't a total loss, because according to Weird Sister number 1, who's being played by a 9-year-old, says, like, look, don't worry about it. We had a fill of malice, so everything's dandy, and the preparations are now complete. And everybody was smiling, and that's the end of the episode. What are they preparing for? I do not know. But we will find out maybe next week. The episode itself was very predictable. The reveal of the malgam being Riku's father, I knew it from last week. What I didn't predict was the targets. I thought he was shooting at Riku for being a lousy child or whatever, but it wasn't the case. His targets were the chemi and Hotaru for being bad influences. It's the Minato Sensei, I'm sorry, but I mean, I thought you believe in Hotaru and let him do his thing. But like I mentioned before, like, he didn't meant to break the rules. He was trying to figure out, like, hey, you don't look like you want us to take Sabu. I just want some answers, just to give you some peace. Like, are you sure? And of course, Hotaru was willing to let Riku keep it, but of course it comes with a price, because Riku is gonna have a target on his back from people like the Weird Sisters. Maybe Spanner will come in and take him away. Or maybe someone with negative energy will attract Sabu and they become a malgam, it's just a lot of problems. I understand that part, but Kudo was right. The chemists have to take, the chemis away from these people for their own good, which I understand. But it's just, I don't understand why Minato Sensei is giving the riot act when, Hotaru was being, like, his heart was in the right place. No one got hurt, luckily. But I think he's trying to prove a point that there's no way that chemis can coexist with us because it goes against the natural order. But obviously, by the end of this show, he's gonna prove Minato Sensei wrong, and yeah, everything in Hotaru's wish will come true. Spanner being Spanner. I mean, I'm surprised because in the preview, I thought that all the students were gonna vote out Hotaru from being Kamen Rider Gacha, but it wasn't the case. But eventually, it will come a time where poor Hotaru will be judged if he's worthy of keeping that driver or not. I could be wrong. And Hotaru being noisy as ever, and Weird Sister number 1 trying to, I don't know, bait Kudo into something. I don't know what was the purpose of Weird Sister number 1 meeting with Kudo, and I just don't understand that part. Unless she was like, hey, what if I told you, your father is alive somewhere? Of course you need to play. What game? I don't know. But Kudo was not buying it, so yeah. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, that's all I can say, really. It was an okay episode. And yeah, there's nothing to say. I just think that Minato Sensei is the master of the Weird Sisters. I'm calling it right now. That or Hotaru's dad could be the leader. I'm calling that out right now. One of those two. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Please give a like it and please subscribe and tell me if you've seen Kamen Rider Gacha episode 8. Tell me, did you like it? Did you dislike it? And if you liked it, what would you do if you have the opportunity to change it? And also, if I missed anything, please go on the comments below and mention, hey, you missed this and this, that sort of thing, because hey, even though I have my notes in front of me, maybe I missed a couple of Easter eggs. You never know. Just yeah. So if anything, write in the comments below and just let us talk about the episode. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all on the other side of oblivion. Johnny!